In the last video, we worked on list operations and methods. In this video, let us talk about the similarities and the differences between string data type and the list data type. Also, let us learn to use a special data type called a tuple, which is very similar to a list. Further, let us understand the effect of passing references to our functions and also creating individual copy of objects or lists or even dictionaries with the help of copy function, which is present in Python's copy module. Similarities between lists and strings. Strings and lists are actually similar, as string is a list of characters. Whatever the operations which are permitted in Python on lists are also applicable to strings. For example, indexing operator can be used to extract individual characters of a string. We can take up the slice of a string. We can read the length of a string. We can check the character is present in a string with in and not in operators, and also you can traverse the string with for loop or while loop. Let us take up the example. In this example, we use the index operator to read a specific character. We can also use negative index to retrieve specific character. Here we use the slice operator to retrieve the substring of a string, and also you can use in operator to check whether the character or a substring is present in a main string. Finally, you can read each of the character by traversing a string with a for statement. What are the dissimilarities between string and a list? As we know, list is a mutable data type. It means that we can insert as well as delete the individual items present in a list. However, string is immutable. It means that we cannot modify the individual characters or a substring of a given string. If we try to manipulate the individual elements or items of a string, the Python runtime will produce us a type error message. Here is an example. This is a string. As I said, string is immutable, and we try to manipulate the item element at index 7, and this leads to error, type error with the appropriate message. One proper way to mutate the string is to extract the specific portion of a string with slice, and then you can concatenate that slice with the specific string to build a new string, so that you can use that newly built string string for further processing. Let us take up the example. Here we have a string with the name, and we are going to create a new string by obtaining the slice of our old string name, and we concatenate the additional string 2 for the different substring. Thereby we can have a new string which is just a manipulation of the old string. Here we had a old string Zophie, a cat. Now it has been modified as Zophie the cat. Remember, string is immutable. In order to change the string, you can extract the portion of a string and you can concatenate other characters to it. Thereby the new string which is created with the concatenation can be used further. As I said, list is a mutable. If you are changing the entire list, then the existing list will not be modified. Rather, the new list is being created. Let's take up this example. Here we have a list called X with 1, 2, 3 elements, and we are changing all the elements with 4, 5, 6. It means that now the old list is replaced or overwritten with the new list, not the new 3 elements. This entire old list is being replaced with the new list. In order to modify the list, we can use this method wherein we delete all the elements present in a list one by one, and then we append the elements. For example, here we are appending 4, 5, 6. Thereby the list X remains the same list, as we are not replacing the old list with the new list. We are deleting the old elements and then inserting the new elements. Remember that changing a mutable data type always changes the value. You can also use this method wherein you can use the index operator along with the list name and the assignment statement to modify the original list directly without deleting and appending the list. This is another way of modifying the mutable type with index operator without using del statement or append or insert methods. Tuple data type. Tuple data type is a special data type which is available in Python, which is almost identical to list data type except in 2 ways. First is tuples are typed with parentheses. The individual items of a tuple should be enclosed with parentheses rather than the square brackets. Square brackets are used to represent a list. Here is an example. We create a tuple. Observe that we have not used a square bracket. If you use square bracket, then the list X becomes a list. We have used the parenthesis. It means that X is a tuple data type, and you can use all the operators, index operator, slice operator, and you can use the methods length to obtain the number of items present in a tuple. Moreover, you can even traverse the tuple with the for statement. And One more difference is tuples are immutable, where lists are mutable. It means that the individual items present in a tuple cannot be modified, as well as you cannot append the elements, and you cannot delete the specific element present in a tuple. Let us take up the example wherein we try to modify the first element of a tuple with a new value, and the Python runtime display a type error as the tuple is a immutable data type. Remember, if you have only one value in a tuple, then you have to place a trailing comma after the single value inside the parenthesis. If you don't use a trailing comma, then whatever the expression that is found within the parenthesis is considered as a regular expression within parenthesis, and that expression will not be treated as a tuple because there is no difference between an expression and the tuple if you don't put a trailing comma. Let's take up the example. Here we use the method type to know the type of data type. Since we have used the parenthesis, it is a tuple, and remember, this tuple has got only one value, hello, and we have used the trailing comma. This is important. If you don't use this hello is considered as an expression, and in this case expression is a string literal, string a value. One of the unique features of Python is the ability to have a tuple on the left side of an assignment statement. This feature allows us to assign more than one variable at a time when the left hand side is a sequence. Let's take up one example. So we have a M is a list. We have a square brackets. It represents the list. M is a list having two strings. I can assign these individual elements of a list, two elements, to two different variables x and y by just writing a statement x comma y equal to m. X comma y is a tuple of elements where element is a variable. You can say it is a sequence of variables, which is a tuple. On the right hand side we have a list, and the result of this statement is x holding first element, that is have, and variable y holds the second element of a list called fun. When we use a tuple on the left side of the assignment, we omit the parenthesis, but we can also use the parenthesis to represent a tuple. Here is an example. We have M is a list with two elements, and we have used a parenthesis to indicate it is a tuple of variables. So parenthesis is optional. You can just write xy or x and y comma y. You can enclose with the parenthesis. The one good application of tuple assignment is swapping of values without using any temporary variables. A single statement will swap the contents of two variables. This statement a comma b equal to b comma a swaps the contents of variables a and b. We can see here in this expression a and b is a tuple. Left hand side is a tuple of variables, and right hand side is a tuple of expression. How the tuple of variables gets the value of tuple of expressions? You know, the expressions are evaluated before the assignment. So, and the associativity is from left to right. So first this expression. So we have expression with only one variable, that's it. This expression is evaluated, and the value of this expression evaluation is stored in the temporary variable by the interpreter. And similarly, the second expression is evaluated, and the result of evaluation is stored in the temporary variable by the interpreter. After evaluating these expressions on the right hand side, that means tuple of expressions, these values of temporary variables which corresponds to the tuple of expressions are assigned accordingly. The first variable in the tuple of variables gets the value of the first expression in the tuple, and the b gets the value of the second expression, and so on. Converting data types list and tuple with functions. The function list takes the argument, which is a tuple, and converts the tuple into a list. Similarly, the function tuple takes the list as an argument and returns the tuple equivalent. Let us take up the example. Here in this example, we are converting a list having 3 elements to a tuple, and the return of this tuple function is a tuple equivalent of a list containing these 3 elements. Similarly, here in the second example, we pass a tuple as an argument to a function list, and this list function will return a list which is the equivalent of a tuple. Why this conversion is advantageous? Let us say we have a list, and we don't want to convert that, or we don't want to change the elements of a list. What we can do is we can convert that list into a tuple so that elements cannot be modified. And let us say you have a tuple and you want to modify the individual elements of a tuple. What we can do is we convert that tuple into a list, modify it, and then we can create a new tuple which will not be modified further. This is one advantage of having these two functions, which converts one type to another type based on the application requirements. What are the advantages of tuples? There are 2 advantages. One is to improve the readability. How this tuple implementation improves the readability? Let us say we have a data structure, a list structure, and we know that we are not going to modify the list elements in the program. Then we can directly implement that list as a tuple, as we are just accessing the elements, no modification, thereby which improves the readability of a program. Whoever reads the program will understand that the tuple elements will not be changed in the program. And also, use of tuples, appropriate use of tuples in a program will improve the execution speed of your code. These are the two benefits. One is the improvement in readability, and second one is the improvement in execution speed. References. A reference is a variable which refers to a data item in memory. When we assign a list to a variable with the assignment statement, we are actually assigning a list reference to a variable, not the list values. It means that the base address or the starting address of a list is assigned to a list variable. Thus, a reference is just a value that points to some object or a bit of data in memory. Therefore, a list reference is a value, actually a memory address, that points to a set of data which is a list. Let us take up the example. This is a list. The items which are enclosed in a square bracket is called a list value. This is a list. And we use assignment statement. It means that the base address where this list value is stored, is assigned to a spam, and this spam is a reference, list reference. And when we assign this spam to another variable, it implies that we are assigning a list reference to another variable. Thus cheese also becomes a reference to the same list. And now we have two different references to a same list. List is this 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 elements. We have two references. One is spam, and now after this assignment we have one more assignment. As a programmer, we can manipulate the list either using the list reference spam or the new list reference cheese. Let us modify this. We change the first element, that means at index 1, that is the second element, with the string value by using the second reference, that is cheese. And you see the result. Result is modified. And print the list with the second reference, again you get the same modified list. This concept is very important when we pass a list as an argument to a particular function. Here is the illustration for the concept of a list reference. This is a list. This is a list, and it is stored in memory, and we have a ID or a base address or whatever. We take up it as a identifier ID, and after assignment, ID is being stored in a spam. Now spam contains the ID of that list. Actually it is a base address of a list. And if you assign spam to cheese, what exactly we are doing is we are creating another reference, a variable which holds the same identifier of the list containing 6 elements, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a pictorial representation to understand this concept of reference. Remember, whenever we assign a list to a variable, we are creating a list reference, and assigning a list reference to another variable also create one more list reference to the same list. Remember, when you alter a list element with any of the list reference, manipulates the original list. This is a pictorial representation of previous example we have two list references, spam and cheese, which points to the same list. And if you manipulate the individual elements of a list through cheese, even affect the reference spam, as the spam and cheese variables are reference variable to a list having same values. Note that list variables will contain only the references to list values rather than the list values themselves. But for strings and integer values, variables simply contain the values. If we have a string variable, the variable contains the sequence of character, and if we have an integer or floating point variable, it contains actual value. But in case of a list, we contain the list variables contain only a reference to a list in memory. Let us understand the passing the list to a function. Normally, when function is called, the values of arguments are copied to the parameter variables which are found on the function header. And this happens to data types which are called value types, like integer variable and strings. If we take up a list as well as the other data structure called dictionaries, the passing a list or a dictionary, it means that a copy of reference is passed to the parameter, and these data types like lists and dictionaries are called reference types, because whenever the list or a dictionary is passed to a function, a list reference or a dictionary reference is copied onto the parameter which is found at the function header. Let us take up the illustration. Here we have a function x which takes a parameter at the function header, and we add one more element to a list which is pointed by this formal parameter. In the main program, we create a list called spam with 3 elements. This is a list, and we pass the argument, and this argument is not the list 1 2 3, it is a reference. This reference is copied to some parameter. Thus the variable or a parameter some parameter becomes another reference to the same list 1 2 3. Thus now we have two references, one is spam and one more some parameter. And now at the function we modify the list through the second reference, that is some parameter. And if you print spam, we get the modified list, that is 1 2 3 followed by hello. Even if you use a print spam, again you get the new list with 4 elements 1 2 3 and hello. This is a result that you get if you print the list with original reference spam, and even if you print here print some parameter, then again you get the same result 1 2 3 and hello, as the variable some parameter as well as spam refers to the same list in memory. The copy module. When we pass a list to a function, function can modify the list elements, and the effect of modification is visible in the main program also. If we don't want the effect of modification to be visible at the main program, we need to create a separate copy of the list that we are going to pass to a function. And for this, Python provides a separate module called copy module, which has two functions, namely copy function and deep copy function. What is this copy function? Copy function can be used to make a duplicate copy of a mutable data type like dictionary or list. When we use a copy function, it creates a duplicate copy of an argument, which is a list or a dictionary, and returns a new variable, and it will not return a reference to the same data type list which is passed as an argument. Let us take up the example. First, we need to import this copy module, import copy, and we have a list spam with 4 elements, and we want to create a copy of this list ABCD, and we can do this by assigning the spam to another variable. The problem is we are not getting a separate copy, we are getting another reference, something like alias to a variable or an object. To have a separate copy of this list, we have to use a copy module, and we have to call a function copy by passing the argument which is a list, and this copy function of a copy module will return a new list called cheese, and this list is now totally different list in memory, and cheese is not a reference to spam or to a list containing these 4 elements. And if you modify a member of a cheese, the item of a list value cheese, it doesn't affect the spam, because spam is stored in one particular memory area, as well as the cheese is now being created and stored in different memory location. And you can see the cheese is modified with the new value at location 1, and spam still has the same old value, that is B. This is the pictorial representation of having a copy function of a copy module. We have a spam, which is a reference to a list, and when we create a new list with the copy module, a separate ID is being created. It means that the list which is referred with cheese is being created and placed in different location of your program memory. That's why we have a different ID. If the list contain an item which is another list or a dictionary, then we have to use one more method or a function of a copy module called deep copy. This deep copy copies not only all the items, it copies even the inner items containing lists or dictionaries and other data structures. Let us take up the programming example on lists and tuples. The problem is to sort a list of words based on the word length. How do we solve this problem? With the help of list and tuple. These are the two data structures which are relevant for this problem. As a solution, we need to read a line of text, and we split the line of text into words by using an appropriate string function. And once we have a list of words, we create one more list of tuples having the length of the word as well as the word itself. And once we have the list of tuples with the word length and the word, we can sort this list of tuples in the descending order of the word length as well as the word itself. And finally, we retrieve only the words present in a list of tuples and create one more third list, and we print the third list. Definitely that third list will be is the list of words in the descending order of the word length. Let us see the program. First we read the line of text. Make sure that we have only words in that, no punctuation, as we are not dealing with special characters like punctuation. We use the string function called split. We are going to see this function in our subsequent chapters. This split function split the line of text or a string based on the delimiter that is supplied as an argument. And here the delimiter is a space. We have not given any delimiter. By default it is a space. This split function will return a list of strings which are present in a line of text. Thus words is a list containing all these words present in the line of text. The split will happen here based on the space. And next we create an empty list. This is a syntax. You can use t is equal to this notation, the square brackets. Since we don't pass any argument to a list function, it creates the empty list. T is empty list. Now we create a list with tuples. We put the tuples into T for each of the word present in the word list. This is a word list, and each of the words in the word list, you calculate the length of the word, and that length of word along with the word itself, we put them in the list T as a tuple. You can see the parenthesis. This is a tuple representation. Tuple with first item, length of the word, integer, and the string, that word itself. After completion of this, after execution of this for statement, now we have a T list of tuples having two items. Sort this list of tuples in the reverse order of the length. Now we have a tuples with the maximum word length are found at the initial locations. After sorting this, we create an empty result list, and we pick all the words from the T where words are found along with the length of the word, because it is a tuple. Each T contain an item which is a tuple. We have to extract the entire tuple, and then we have to pick the word in order to create final result list. Initially we have an empty result list. For each of the tuple, this is a tuple representation. For each of the tuple, length and word, in list of tuples, pick only T. Pick only T and put that, pick only the word and put that word into the result list, res dot append. Now after execution of this, we get a result list containing only the words in the descending order of the word length. If you print that result list, we get all the words in the descending order of the word length. This is a three phase program. First phase is we split the words and create a list. Then we create a tuple, create a list of tuples, and finally we sort and we restore the only the sorted words based on the word length. Let us summarize the discussion. The lists and strings share a common features, and we know that list is mutable data type and string is immutable data type, and all the operations methods which are supported for lists are also supported for strings. There is a special data type called tuple, which is very similar to list. The difference is tuple is immutable data type, and all the operations on lists are even supported for tuple data type. We understood the concept of assigning a list to a variable which creates a reference, and the effect of passing and changing the list reference at the function. Finally, we found a solution to protect the list from getting modified at a function through a reference. We can use the copy function of a copy module, which creates the independent copy of a given list or dictionary so as to protect the list data or a dictionary data that is being modified at the rest of the program, or even at the function level or at the module level. Finally, we worked on a problem of sorting a line of text based on the word length with the help of these two data types, lists and tuple.